You mentioned you've been getting threats. What kind of threats do you get them regularly? Is it every now and again?
I try not to talk about it too much because I don't want to empower the people who do it. But, when I do prominent things, whether it's with powerful forces, people don't like it. I did a couple of big debates on Israel last year, which gets a lot of attention. I've criticized the Indian government. And if you've dealt with the Indian government's trolls online, they are crazy. Some of the far-right Hindutva trolls. Obviously, the MAGA folks are not fans of mine. I live in the US, which is a sadly very violent society, right? People have a lot of guns, a lot of anger, a lot of violence. And, you've seen in the Trump era threats against public figures, against politicians, against activists, against journalists rapidly increase. We now have a new Trump presidency. We're speaking a week into this new Trump presidency, and people are worried. You have one of the richest men in the world, Mark Zuckerberg, basically bending the knee to Trump, because he's worried about himself. It's not, some of it is to do with getting tax cuts and deregulation and getting rid of investigations, but some of it's because Trump threatened to put him in prison. So we live in an era where threats are very easy to make in the US and are unfortunately sometimes acted upon by crazy people. So, I take that stuff seriously, but I don't let it affect my work or my life too much.
Okay, okay, so if you spoke about you as a person, but you also at the Oxford Union, you opened your statement with, as a Muslim, as a representative of Islam, I would consider myself an ambassador for Islam, a believer in Islam, a follower of Islam and its prophet. And as a young, opinionated Muslim journalist navigating a career in journalism, did that help you to stand out, or was it more of a challenge that you needed to?
Well, it's interesting how you phrase it. Did that help me to stand out? It definitely made me stand out. Did that help me or hurt me? I think in equal parts. It's done both. Obviously, being a Muslim in public life, I was one of the few British Muslim journalists in the 2000s, 2010s, right? Yeah. That didn't make it easy because you're very easily stereotyped. You're put in a box. I wrote my first book on Ed Miliband, who was Labour Party leader up until 2015. And I did that very deliberately. I wrote a biography of a British politician when actually a lot of publishers were like, you should write about the war on terror. You should write about radicalization. You should write about Islamophobia. And I said, I do not want my first book to be about a Muslimy issue, right? That would be just too easy to be put in that box. And even that phrase, Muslim journalist, some people argue about it. Are you a journalist who is a Muslim, or are you a Muslim journalist? Now, some might say that's pedantry, but actually it does affect how you're seen and how you're treated. I was one of only 3 Muslim anchors at MSNBC on American primetime TV for the last 3.5 years. Well, until a year ago when I left MSNBC. But it was an interesting time because, again, when things like Gaza happen, people do look at you differently. The average white anchor is not expected to speak on behalf of white people or Christians or America or a particular region. If you're a Muslim or an Arab or an Indian or a Palestinian, immediately you are held up as a representative of your people because most white people haven't had any interactions with that minority group. I mean, for a lot of people, I'm the only Muslim they've ever seen on television talking about religion, race, Middle East, politics, Israel, whatever it is. So whether you like it or not, I probably wouldn't use that exact phrasing today, 11 years later or 12 years later that I used the Oxford Union. I would never say that I'm a representative of Islam. I would never, that feels too arrogant to me. But whether I like it or not, I'm treated as a representative of Islam. Exactly. Whether I like it or not, we are all ambassadors for Islam, even the non-practicing secular. My good friend Bassem Youssef, he's a comedian, Egyptian, American, does a podcast with me. He doesn't see himself as some great practicing Muslim. I have no idea what his state of faith. I'm not going to speak for him. But whether he likes it or not, when he comes on stage, he's the Muslim comedian, the Arab comedian, whoever you are, no matter where you're from, you immediately get typecast, pigeonholed, put into certain boxes, especially in Western media.